think it's happening kind of right now. Around 200 older people will converge upon the Scottish Parliament to give MSPs the benefit of their wisdom about the issues facing the over 65s. And it won't be all moans and groans. The Scottish Older People's Assembly is keen to emphasise the value that senior citizens bring to society rather than the costs. So here to bang the drum, if you like, for the more mature, we have Tom Berney, who is the SOPA, that's the Scottish Older People's Assembly Chair, and Val Bissland, who is a committee member of SOPA. So good morning, Tom, and good morning, Val.
Good morning, Kaye.
Good morning, Kaye.
Morning. Tom, maybe if I start with you first, do you think we are guilty, perhaps, of seeing older people as a burden in terms of the kind of conversations that we tend to have?
Yes, I'm sure we are, and maybe though, following the last conversation, I should start off by saying that I do have a beard. But, yes, we do. We believe that older people tend to be portrayed all the time as those people who are in care homes and so on. Now, obviously, a big priority is to make sure that people in care homes are looked after properly. But there are only 33,000 of them in Scotland. The fact is, most older people are very active in their communities. And in fact, nearly about something like 42% of all the voluntary work done in Scotland is done by older people. If I could maybe go on.
Go on, you do.
Yeah. Most of the caring done in Scotland is done by older people looking after either other older people, their own parents, or even their grandchildren and so on. So we put a tremendous amount into society, and we sometimes feel that's undervalued.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, you know, having read your notes and things about you coming on today, Tom, and just as you were speaking there, it did make me think that a lot of the news coverage of older people is almost that, you know, they're living too long. It's kind of a bad thing. You know, it's becoming a problem. You know, they need pension, they need care. And I guess that, do you feel it filters into people's attitudes?
Yes, well, I remember I was at one of the hustings in the referendum campaign, and the politician, I won't say which party, was going on about the cost of older people. It was a pensioners meeting. And I said, I'd like to apologise on my own behalf and on behalf of everybody else here for still being alive, because but I'd remind them that our taxes too, we all pay taxes too, that we pay as wages. And so there is that. One of the things that particularly annoys me is the way that people tend to exploit some kind of difference between older people and younger people. The fact is that older people are the glue that holds a society together. It's us who keep families together, and we support, the children support us at times, but we also spend a lot of time supporting our children.
Yeah. I mean, Val, do you feel similarly to Tom on this?
Yes, I do believe that we're interdependent all our lives, and that becoming older can bring with it certain disadvantages. We're biological creatures, our health is not always guaranteed, but that can happen at any stage in life. And as families, we support each other. And the younger people and older people getting together and understanding each other is really vital for our future development, especially when there are going to be so many more older people in society. That linking with the younger generation, which is diminishing, is so important for the well-being of everyone in Scotland.
Well, Val and Tom, stay with us if you would, because we will come back to this and we'll take a much more positive approach in terms of what the older generations are contributing to society, rather than concentrating on the negatives. We're talking about a deputation that is being made to Holyrood. The Scottish Older People's Assembly is gathering there, some 200 people, and they want to bring to our MSP's attention the value that senior citizens bring to society, rather than looking at the more negative stories that we tend to report, it has to be said. Tom Berney, who is the chair of the Scottish Older People's Assembly, is with us, and also committee member Val Bissland. And Tom was just saying there that sometimes you feel you've almost got to apologise for still being here when you see some of the news coverage that comes around. And Val, you were just talking about, you know, trying to put more emphasis on interdependency between the generations. And I was just looking this morning, actually, a news story today about working grandparents being allowed to take time off and share parental leave. to help care for their grandchildren. This is something that I think is going to be announced by George Osborne at the Conservative conference in Manchester. So, I mean, again, another example, you know, as you were saying, of interdependency rather than making old people like our problem.
Yeah, I was really pleased I was absolutely thrilled to hear that, because a couple of years ago we made a film on grandparents who have become the main carers of their grandchildren, and it was really quite heartrending to hear some of the struggles they had to be accepted, and also to receive a decent amount of money to care for those children, and they'd really given up their own lives to make sure those children did well. So this is really good news that they're going to be treated more equitably. I'm really pleased about that.
So, Tom, what are some of the messages that you'll be putting forward this morning?
Well, it's an opportunity. There are just about 1 million older people in Scotland, and so this is our opportunity to put views to politicians in the Parliament. We've just completed an exercise of visiting 15 different towns and inviting older people to tell us what they think is important. So the kind of things, obviously, will be pensions, where we're concerned that British pensions are among the lowest in Europe and compared to our earnings. We'll be talking about the increase in the pension age. For example, the pension age is about to increase from 67 to up to 68 in the end, and yet people in Shettleston in Glasgow, the life expectancy is only 64. So you have a situation where a whole lot of people in Scotland and Glasgow won't get a pension at all because they'll be dead before they get it. And one thing. Other things we'll be talking about are matters ranging from life and death things like palliative care for the terminally ill, where we believe that patients and families should be much more involved in making decisions about that, right down to the cost of funerals, where in Scotland now a funeral costs between £3,000 to £4,000, and usually the older people are stuck with this bill and getting into debt to pay for it. We want some control over that, and also simpler little things like why can't we have more public toilets rather than having them closed? We need more public toilets, having handrails where there are steps. So all the way from a huge range of things, from life and death to ordinary helpful things.
But I suppose the other side of that, Tom, you know, as you were saying earlier on, is trying to emphasise the contribution that the older generations make and the value that they create, rather than a list of demands, you know, albeit very valid, but I guess you want to counterbalance that, don't you?
Well, I think that's right. This is the point. If you go to any voluntary organisation in any town, looking around the table, you'll find that nearly all of them are older people doing work, unpaid work for the community. For example, Val and I are both volunteers. We are not paid for what we do, but I'm chairman of the University of the Third Age. Val is very active in the adult learning. So we're still making, we believe, a good contribution to society.
Right. Okay, well, Tom, listen, thank you very much, and Val, thanks to you as well. I'm going to ask you my question. I'm not going to ask everyone today that I can. What would your alias be if you had to have one?
Well, Kaye, I would be Jean Calment. She was the lady who lived to 120.
Oh, so fantastic.
That's my plan. That's the plan.
Top answer, Val. Very good. What about you, Tom?
Well, I think I'd probably like to be Nelson Mandela, but a bit younger.
Very, very high-minded aliases here. This is fantastic. I hope Alex Salmon's feeling a wee bit embarrassed about Captain Kirk. And
exactly.
God, me and Sue Ellen Ewing. I mean, I'm at the bottom of the pile. This is terrible stuff. Val and Tom, thank you very much, and good luck with your conversations that you are having today.